to stop traffic quite easily by just walking down the street. No more than that, just because I had long hair.
What I'm probably best at doing is synthesizing those things in society or culture that I find rivetingly exciting. A lot of the things that I'd done, it seemed that it would predict things about the future. It would tell me a lot about the past.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
I'm very much a character when I go on stage. I believe in my part all the way down the line, right the way down. That's part of what Bowie's supposedly all about. I'm an actor. I was living more and more in the style of one of my characters who wanted terrific success because they're all messiah figures, most of them, either light or dark shadowings. I really felt that the material aspect was something that had to be done in Los Angeles because it's driven into you. It's the food of Los Angeles. And so I just packed up everything one day and I moved back to Europe again.
Absolute Ruhe, bitte.
The 70s for me started the 21st century.
Good night again.
Good night to you too.
Thank you very much for those two songs. That was great.
Oh, we're very happy to be playing. We're looking for somewhere. I mean, if you hadn't asked us here tonight, we had an offer from the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Down the street there.
The turf right there, right?
We have no problem. You know, we can set those amps up in 15 minutes. We do living rooms. So
maybe I'll hire you for my next birthday party.
One of our singers, M. Greiner, well, I'll introduce her later, but she actually did a living room tour when she was promoting her album. She was, you know, wanting to work, and so she asked if, is that true?
Is that true, M?
Yes, it is.
We're pretty familiar with M because, you know,
yes,
she's
of course
Canadian,
you would be.
so she's been
Absolutely.
here a bunch of times, so it's great to have her back.
Yes, and she is a Canadian.
Well, yes, she's
Absolutely.
Canadian. So let's talk about this album, Hours.
Yeah.
You, I mean, it came about in an unusual way. We were talking about it earlier, that it came about because it was originally a soundtrack to Nomad Soul, right?
Yeah, Nomad Soul is a game that was developed by the French. Now, the French don't have a great reputation in games, so we didn't know what was going to happen. And the reviews so far on the internet, anyway, on the games sites, this is probably the game of the year. So well done,
racy,
well done, the French. It's very sophisticated. It's a tremendously complex piece of work. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed working on it. And these songs were meant as a kind of emotional heart to the game, but it turned out pretty good as an album as well.
Oh,
so
definitely.
I'm very satisfied with it.
And there's different
The songs
versions.
are so great to play on stage. We'll do quite a few of them tonight. And some old songs too.
That made people happy before. Did you, like, I saw the game a bit, and it's pretty racy. I mean, you got strippers in the game, you can
French.
walk around, you can smoke.
It's real people. It's not American. I mean, there's... the emphasis is as much on sex as anything else in life, which is as it should be, yeah?
Yeah.
I kiss you. I like sex. I invitate you. Anybody here know Mihir? Yes. Let's hear it for him. There's one Turkish guy that had a site up on the internet where he opened up with, I am Mahir, I kiss you. And then he was looking for English girls to come to his house.
Okay.
It became quite a thing. He got so famous on the internet that I actually saw in Times Square one of the moving billboards.
Oh, no.
I kiss you. Going around.
But what would he do? He
didn't realize what he unleashed, and hundreds of people created mirror sites and homage sites.
Oh, God.
And they reconstructed the photographs of him.
The things you can find on the internet.
Yes, the things you can find. It's true anarchism still.
Oh,
out
yeah.
there, which I adore. The best part about it.
Yeah, definitely the fragmentation also of it. They just, it's sparse, it's all over the place.
Yeah, good God, it sounds like rock and roll.
What I found interesting when I looked a bit into the concept of the game is that it's, the main concept of it is virtual reincarnation.
That's what the more interesting factor for me is that not only do you get your own apartment, you can also go shopping, buy things in the supermarket, records, go back to your apartment. I don't bother with the game. I just live in the city.
I see.
'Cause the city's big enough. But the cool thing is you can actually take a virtual leak in the bathroom as well, which is unheard of. There's no other game like it.
Can you take a virtual smoke too?
You can do virtually anything. And the city is so big. Yes, and you can have virtual sex to an extent. The city is so vast that the controllers of the game were telling me that you would have to spend 200 hours to completely explore the city alone. That's not just the game.
Yeah.
That's the actual environment of the city.
Yeah, the environment.
Unbelievable.
That is crazy. But the prospect of virtual reincarnation is
Yes.
something that we've seen in your career. I mean, Ziggy, Thin White Duke,
Yeah.
all of them.
Oh, I'm the chameleon of rock, you know.
No, but did you feel like
Self-reinvention is my middle name. Because you know my motto, changes.
I was just wondering if it was a test sometimes to your survival skills.
Oh, come on. Don't be silly.
Don't be silly.
It's about creating a character and performing the character. I mean, I just have a lot of fun messing with persona, and it's always interested me.
Exactly.
And it's always interested me to try and provide an atmosphere to the songs that I'm writing that's not just a straightforward artist interpretation. It always appealed to me to create some kind of zeitgeist, ambience for the actual album. Less and less is, well, sometimes the Outside album is very much a character album, but a lot of the albums in the 90s have been far more straight ahead, I guess, songwriter albums, and some experimental, some conservative.
And in this instance,
This one is far more traditional in the way that I put the songs together. They were written as very much crafted as songs and weren't experiments in the studios. That's why it has some feel of maybe songs that I've written before, because it uses regular song structures.
Yeah.
But I enjoy working like that too.
But in this instance of wanting to build characters, a lot of people think this is autobiographical, but it's not.
No, not at all. It was my stance was that of a guy of my generation looking back on a life that maybe didn't work out as well as he had hoped, where there was a lot of chances that he never took and opportunities that he missed, and maybe people that he should have shared his life with but didn't. So there's a sense of regret and poignancy about his life. Whereas, on the other hand...
You're very happy, of course.
Well, yeah, it sounds kind of kicky to say that, but I've been very lucky, very fortunate, especially the last 10, 15 years of my life. My life has been incredibly good and satisfying, fulfilling. I'm still in love, and, you know, hey, what more can I ask
That's great. I think Elsie.
Yes, I've been standing here listening patiently. Interesting. But you spoke about a lot of regrets and looking back on things, especially with this album, which brings me to ask you about Thursday's Child,
Yes.
the video. It's interesting. You're going...
I know. I feel the character in that song is really... I think it's almost the crux of the album. There's a sense of real sadness about him when he looks at a woman that he's living with that maybe he's not in love with, but she's great and she stands by him and they depend on each other, but it's not really love, you know. It's a question of they found each other and they can kind of share things.
Would that explain the reflection in the mirror of looking
his younger
back
self
on, yeah.
looking back onto maybe a girlfriend that he had when he was very young, that maybe he was stupid and missed the relationship, just messed it up, and he thinks, God, things would have been so different if I'd stayed with that girl, you know.
A lot of ifs. Yeah.
Very much what if, yeah,
Yes.
and if, yeah.
I was wondering if maybe he was your Dorian Gray. This is just something I thought about.
They're all my Dorian Grays in
Oh,
a
yeah?
way, you know. Yeah, you kind of... I mean, if I wasn't writing music, I'm sure that I would be writing novellas or short stories, you know, because that's what appeals to me about writing, is just creating narrative and character. I like that very much.
We're going to actually question from the public. You know, we have an
Please.
audience here that are dying to ask you questions
Absolutely.
as well. You know,
Yes,
we
yes.
don't get all the treat. So I have somebody here with me. Hi, what's your name? Ton nom?
Marie-Pierre.
Marie-Pierre. Marie-Pierre
Hello.
has a question for you. C'est quoi ta question?
Your methods of writing have often put the emphasis on the arbitrary and creating songs that are not really, let's say, personal.
Yes.
And On the contrary, your pictorial work,
Yes.
we can find in there a lot of self-portraits, and
Yes.
which
I
is a
understand
kind
what
of
you're saying.
a form of expression which implies a more introspective look.
Yes.
I was wondering why such a paradox, or is it a paradox for you?
I think because my choice has always been, as a musician and songwriter, not to opt. I don't buy into the idea of the integrity of the artist as expressing himself and what he feels. My excitement in writing is to create worlds that don't really exist in my sphere, but that, as you said earlier, what ifs. You know, it's very much a question of taking a thin, slim narrative line and extrapolating on it and creating a world that wasn't there before. I guess because of the way that I was brought up and my interest in art has always kept me into the confines of quite the reverse, where it very much is kind of finding more things out about the interior of how
very
I think.
artistic, yeah.
It's a lot of unconscious stuff comes up in the paintings, far more.
We have a question now from...
Excuse me, but what is your tattoo? What is that? That's
it's
fantastic.
It's Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. It's on the
I
cover
like that
of
very
the
much.
album.
Yeah,
Sounds familiar.
That's really good. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
That's really good.
So if you keep an eye on the monitors now, we've walked around the streets of Montreal and met some of your fans
Me
who had
too.
questions for you. Oh, really? You too? I'm sure that happens a lot. Keep an eye on the monitors.
Hi David, this is Trevor, and I'm really impressed with how far you've been pushing the musical industry with your music, and what a great job you've been doing of it so far, and the collaborations you've been doing, like with Nine Inch Nails, well, with Trent. You've been doing great work, and I was just wondering your impression or your opinion of what John Lennon's music would sound like today if he were still alive and doing what you're doing with music.
Interesting. So,
Boy, that's a good question.
that's a very good question
yeah,
indeed.
no, that's
yeah.
really good, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about that?
I'm flabbergasted that nobody has taken John Lennon and done exactly that to his music, is to kind of put him in new environments, new musical environments.
Yes.
I think he himself would be terribly excited about the way people work these days. He was so at the forefront, he was so prescient about his ideas of fragmentation and cutting things up and re-putting them together.
Yeah.
He always had, I mean, he influenced me an awful lot. I mean, not only, he was a mentor to me, an idol, and also I was privileged to become his friend as well. So a lot of how John thought, I really picked up on and felt a very strong empathy with, because I guess we both had kind of painting in our backgrounds and all that,
Yeah.
and you kind of are not intimidated by the idea of the outside or the avant-garde or the periphery of society, and I just made such a strong connection with the way that he worked and thought that things would go and the way that things should be or could be. I think he would just plunge into the way he would be so active and so vital still, because he was quite brilliant.
We have another question now. I'm full of questions today, aren't I? This is from the internet. It's from somebody called Steve. He's 20 years old. He's studying to be a painter, and we've talked a lot about
Steve.
it. Yes.
People on the internet usually use names like Blockhead Green.
No, yeah.
Things. Nobody calls themselves Steve.
Well, I don't know.
What's your name on the internet?
He doesn't
yeah.
know. I'm not telling you.
That's not fair.
I actually have several.
Really?
Yeah, I have
Give
several.
us one. Can you give us one?
Guy.
Guy.
But you know what? Did you ever try going under David Bowie and having a bunch
Nobody
of people
ever
not,
believes-
not believe you?
Nobody
that's what I
believes
was gonna
it.
say.
Yeah.
I mean, who on earth is going to believe that? But I am. No, you're not.
And they ask you really obscure questions that you can't answer to, obviously, just to test if you're Bowie.
Actually, I do have in my own chat room on davidbowie.com. I do have a name that I use that everybody knows it's me, so,
Okay.
you know.
So the fans will know. Anyways, going back to Steve, who used, assuming
Steve,
his real
yeah.
name now to
His
ask you
name
the
probably
question.
is Blockhead.
Probably, and then he decided to be
Ah.
Steve. His question is interesting. He says
Yeah.
that you've sponsored an exhibit which was titled Sensation,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was kind of controversial. So his
Yeah.
question is, in what way do you think that contemporary artists can be shocking?
You know, it's very difficult for contemporary visual artists or artists who are working in the plastic arts to be at all shocking these days, because frankly the public generally don't give a damn. And surprisingly enough, the best thing that could have happened was for the mayor of New York to make such an issue out of what was happening at the Sensation exhibition. When I got the rights to the internet rights to that exhibition quite a few months ago, and we presumed we would get a few hundred people that would come onto the site and look at it, and because you get everything that's in the exhibition is on the site, so you get a real trip through, and it's free. You get a real trip through the thing, and there are dialogues and audio samples from the artists themselves, and I kind of give a bit of a guide to the thing. But we didn't expect any real big deal, you know. I just wanted to make it available because I really love art, and it's nice to try and get people, you know, more involved and looking at stuff.
Introduce it to some people as well. Yeah.
But what the mayor did was, like, we were hit with like hundreds of thousands of hits. I mean, it was unbelievable. So he did a really cool thing by saying that it was awful.
Yeah, basically.
But the irony, of course, is that it's not anywhere near as shocking as several other exhibitions that have happened in New York over the last 10 years that have also been backed by the city. But I think circumstances created this whole maneuver.
That kind of helped you in the end, basically.
Well, it certainly helped the Sensation exhibition. And those artists are very good. I mean, they're some of the best and some of the worst work done in England at the moment is in that show. And it is nice to kind of know that it's not all fabulous. Some of it is rubbish.
But you need to know rubbish to know it's good.
Well, yeah, no, it's you know, I may be, who am I to say? I mean, for some people, what I might consider rubbish might actually have a real strong trigger to somebody else, the way they look at it and what they need from it. You know, an artist these days, especially since Marcel Duchamp and all that, the work is only one aspect of it. The work is never finished now until the viewer contributes himself. The art is always only half finished. It's never completed until there's an audience for it.
Of course.
And then it's the combination of the interpretation of the audience and the work itself.
Art.
It's that grey area in the middle is about what the work is about.
Okay,
I think.
Great.
We have a phone question now. Danielle is supposed to be. Hello?
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm okay.
All right.
Can I just say, this is such an honor to talk to you because it's just great. I can't even explain it.
Hey, awesome.
Okay, my
Hello.
Hi.
Are you looking at the television?
I'm watching, yeah.
Are you? Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi. Okay, so I've got to talk because I'm gonna just. Okay. Anyways, how do you feel about being such an influence to young people, like with expressing their individuality, creativity through art, song, dress, any of those mediums?
And that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I was 18 or 19, I think I had a whole set of people that I looked up to. I don't think I think you're only influenced to a certain extent. I think what happens is that you look at somebody and think that maybe something you had as a small seed in your own mind, you see maybe that person has extended that or gone quite a long way with what you think you might like to do, and you think, yeah, that person's doing what I really like to do, and that's what could happen. That's what I can do with what I've got. And that's, so that kind of influence, I'm proud to, if I have been influential on people in that way, that's really good, because there's a certain kind of regret that when you haven't been adventurous with your ideas, there's when you get into a later life and you haven't even tried to do some of the things that you really wanted to do, and you can look back and say, damn, if only I'd had a go at that, you know, things might have been different, or I would at least know if I could do it or not. And the people I looked up to when I was a kid, like William Burroughs and like Little Richard and like John Lennon, they did it, you know, and I thought, well, I'm an absolute fool of myself, but I'm going to, you know, go for it too. So, yeah, we older chaps are here to influence.
Well, I identify with you so well, and I just feel that I'm proud of who I am, and just your example has just made me who I am, and just not to be shameful, or just to be who I am and express who I am. And I can't thank you enough for being...
I'm proud of who you are, too.
You don't know what that means to me.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you very much for that. I think Danielle was thrilled.
Oh,
yeah, Danielle, if she would still be here, I think she'd be gushing. So after the break, you're going to come back and play some more songs?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
All right. On vient tout de suite après la pause avec David Bowie en prestation à la Musique.